Hey there, it's Alex from Lab Cyber, and I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Unfortunately, today I do have a bit of a rant video to make describing why you need to stop using the Zoom application. Now, if you're like most people who has been stuck at home because of the COVID-19 crisis, you may have used Zoom to make calls to your friends, family members, and even, of course, your colleagues at work. However, if you've used Zoom, you need to stop using it. To say that the popularity of this application has exploded in the last couple of weeks would be a major understatement. This is a company who had about 10 million users before the COVID-19 crisis, but now they have over 200 million. Now, it's not a mystery as to why it has surged in popularity. Zoom is actually very, very easy to use. It's very, very convenient. Unfortunately, in cybersecurity, usually when an application is very easy to use, it's usually at the detriment of security. And boy, does Zoom have some serious security flaws. But my real concern, my real issue with Zoom is not the fact that they have these flaws. It's the fact that they constantly lie about not having these laws, about having these flaws, and making it look like, oh, they genuinely care about the privacy of their users, because in fact, they do not care about your privacy and will invade your privacy and will sell your data if they can. Speaking of which, right now they are facing a lawsuit because they've apparently been disclosing personal data illegally, and guess the company that they've been selling the data to? Well, none other than Facebook. So the Zoom iOS application sends data to Facebook even if you don't have a Facebook account. This is very, very scary. Now, for people who have a Facebook account, even though it's illegal, I can understand the intent behind sending the data to Facebook. Facebook can use your data, such as the things you talk about through the Zoom calls, your location, your country, things like that. So Facebook can then use that data to send you targeted advertisements. I can understand that. It is the users who don't even have a Facebook account whose data is being sent to Facebook. That's what I find truly scary. Why is Facebook interested in the data of people who don't even have an account on Facebook? Your guess is as good as mine. But that is a major, major concern. But don't worry, because apparently Zoom now have told iPhone users that, hey, we're no longer sending your data to Facebook. We've stopped. Oh, why? Well, they just found out that it wasn't necessary for delivering its service. Are you serious? You just found out that it's not necessary to sell the data of your users to Facebook in order for them to use your application? How does that make any sense? And what I find really frustrating about this is that on the homepage of Zoom, the security page, they have this column right here talking about protecting your privacy. Zoom is committed to protecting your privacy. We've designed policies and controls to safeguard the collection, use, and disclosure of your information. Only when it comes to Facebook, though. With Facebook, we'll send your data to them, okay? Don't worry. But yeah, we've stopped. Just trust us, because we've stopped. We no longer send your data to Facebook. This is a company that you cannot trust. They are not transparent and they lie. Now, moving on to the second major issue with Zoom are their security flaws. Now, on the second column right here, it says that communications are established using a 256-bit TLS encryption, and all shared content can be encrypted using the AES 256 encryption. Now, it is my understanding that they've edited this page, because before, they used to claim that Zoom provides something called an end-to-end encryption. However, thanks to a university in Toronto, they did some research and they found out three major things. First of all, Zoom claimed in the documentation that they use the AES 256, but in reality, they use the AES 128 key. I'll explain what these things are, but know that the AES 128 key is significantly weaker than the 256. But here's where things get really interesting. It turns out that these keys are verified to be able to decrypt Zoom packets intercepted in internet traffic, and they appear to be generated by Zoom servers, and in some cases are delivered to participants in a Zoom meeting through servers in China, even when all meeting participants and the Zoom subscribers company are outside of China. Really? Let me explain exactly what end-to-end encryption really is, which is what Zoom were claiming to provide. So let's say, for example, you have this device A and device B. They want to communicate using end-to-end encryption. What will happen is that they will have two sets of keys, right? One key will be to encrypt the data. So let's say device A wants to send some data to device B. Device A will encrypt the data using one of its keys. send it over the internet. Device B will use its own key to decrypt the information, read what device A has sent to them, and then device B will do the exact same thing and vice versa. That's basically how the communication goes back and forth. So you encrypt, decrypt, encrypt, decrypt, and so on. This goes over the internet, right? So if a hacker was able to come in between these two devices communicating, even if they were able to get their hands on the data, because the data is encrypted and they don't have the keys to decrypt the data, they will not be able to read what information is being sent between two devices. In a true end-to-end encryption, only these two devices will have the necessary keys to decrypt the information. So that communication is only between both of them. However, with Zoom, what actually happens is that the keys used for decrypting that content, they're generated through the Zoom servers. In other words, Zoom has access to the keys to decrypt such information. So in other words, Zoom can totally intercept and read every single information being used on their application. It is not a true end-to-end encryption. It is not. It's more of a TLS encryption, which is different. And thankfully, down here in their blog, they've responded and they've said that yes, we recognize that we can do better with our encryption design. So now, because there is no way for them to spin the story or hide, they've now openly admitted that yes, our encryption standards are not as great as we claimed they are. Now, going back to the research, there's a very interesting observation here where it said that the encryption keys are generated in China and are delivered to participants in a Zoom meeting through servers in China, even when all meeting participants and the Zoom subscribers company are outside of China. In response to this, Zoom came out here and said it was all a mistake. So let me explain exactly what this is, right? So there is something called geofencing, right? Let's say you wanted to use Zoom and there are no data centers for Zoom in Sweden, but there are in, let's say, Denmark, and there is another one in the United States. Typically, Zoom will try to connect you to the data center closest to where you are physically to improve performance. So as a result, Zoom would rather connect you to Denmark as opposed to connecting you to the United States. But what's happening here is that even if you're not anywhere near China, let's imagine you're in Sweden, Zoom has the potential to redirect your traffic through servers in China, which means that those servers in China can take your data, decrypt your data, and see exactly what you're saying all the messages you're sending to your friends, your colleagues at work, and so on. In response to this, Zoom said that, however, in February, Zoom rapidly added capacity to our Chinese region to handle a massive increase in demand, which is fine for Chinese clients. In our haste, we mistakenly added our 2 Chinese data centers to a lengthy white list of backup bridges, potentially enabling non-Chinese clients to, under extremely limited circumstances, connect to them, namely when the primary non-Chinese servers were unavailable. It was all a mistake, guys. It was a mistake. We had no intention of doing this. It was all just a mistake. It's only a coincidence that we have servers in China, and now we've started to redirect users who are not located in China through our servers in China. It's all just a giant mistake. Well, which one is it? You can either be extremely incompetent or you're simply lying to our faces. It could be both, actually, in the case of Zoom. I don't know which one is it. My understanding here is that they're basically just lying. Right now, they're trying to make excuses because they got found out and they're trying to save face. That's what they're really trying to do. And again, it just annoys me because right here again, protecting your privacy. We're committed to protecting your privacy. It's all a lie. See, companies like this, I have no issues with them having security flaws. It is when they now lie to your face or to our faces and pretend like, we don't have any security flaws. We're taking your privacy very, very seriously, when in fact they're not. So honestly, personally, I will not use Zoom at all. Zoom is a company that you cannot trust, and even all these security controls they're putting in place, these are controls they should have had right from the start. It's because they never cared about security from the start. They cared more about invading privacy of the users, selling the data. Now, because they've surged in popularity, they've gotten so many more users, and now that their security policies have come under scrutiny, now they're trying to save face. I don't buy it. I do not trust this company. Now, before I talk about the alternatives which I recommend, let me just stress that I am in no way affiliated with any one of these companies. None of them have paid me to make this video to promote them, so I just want to be clear about that. I'm simply talking about them because I believe these are better alternatives to Zoom. The first one here being Blue Jeans. Now, the major downside of Blue Jeans is that it's not free. They do offer a trial period, but after that you will have to pay. But in my humble opinion, it's well worth it when it comes to security. You have Google Hangouts as well, a much better alternative than Zoom. You have good old Skype. Let's not forget about Skype. Skype is still there. And you also have the Microsoft Teams, another very, very good alternative. But for some reason, this really hasn't picked up that much steam. I was kind of surprised. I thought due to the COVID-19 crisis, Microsoft Teams would really pick up some steam, but it's still not quite widely as used as you might expect. And of course, there's also the GoToMeeting. Not the easiest to use, but in terms of security, it's still, again, much, much better than Zoom. And finally, yes, I can even recommend WhatsApp. And yes, I know WhatsApp is owned by Facebook, but at least with WhatsApp, they do offer you true end-to-end encryption. It is the real deal. They really do offer the true end-to-end encryption, unlike Zoom that claims to offer you that encryption when in fact they do not. So that's basically been my small rant on why you should not be using Zoom. If you have any questions about anything I've said, be sure to put them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But hopefully I've been able to give you some incentive as to why you should not use Zoom. Again, it's not about the security flaws, it's about their attitude. They lie, they sell, they invade the privacy of their users, they sell the data to third parties, and in my humble opinion, it is just a shady company. And until there's a serious overhaul in management, I will not want to use Zoom for any of my calls. So that's it, Alex from Lab Cyber. Hope you stay well and safe wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.